Welcome back to this special edition. We've been talking to young Palestinians and Israelis about the issues that concern them the most and what hopes they have for peace in their lifetime. Now, obviously, a lot of differences are coming out in this debate as we get going. Khalid, you were saying how you're sitting with smoke coming out of your ears. What was it that was bothering you the
Yes,
most?
unfortunately, Riz, throughout what we've heard on the other side of the panel, we've heard an unhealthy, biased diet of misrepresentation and ignorance from the panelists. Some facts have been grossly distorted. The offer in Camp David was not 99% of the West Bank. If you looked at the maps, minus the settlements, the illegal Jewish-only roads, you ended up with 40% of the 22% that the Palestinians live in. Now, with regards to history, which we heard a complete revision of, when the UN partition plan was proposed in 1948, Palestinians were 2-to-1 majority to Jews. And now then they proposed to divide it 54% to 1/3 of the population and 46% to 2/3 of the population. This was an insult to democracy. Of course the Palestinians rejected it. No people on earth would have accepted that.
Let me get across to Tel Aviv. Dana, you were waiting patiently to respond as well, and give us your perspective. Now, as I say, I'm hearing a lot of differences on, obviously, what seem to be strongly entrenched views.
The Israelis want peace. We don't mean any harm ever. Unlike the Palestinians, when a person dies on the other side, when they send a terrorist bomber into our lands and he explodes and kills innocent women and children, they celebrate in the streets. But that's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the reason why I'm here. I'm here because I want to think to the future. I want to look ahead. I don't want to stay in the past and think of what they did and what we did. It doesn't matter anymore. Let's think of how to better our lives. We all want to live a better life, and life is what's important, and so is its quality.
That's optimistic, Dana. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask Amal, you've been wanting to respond as well.
Thank you.
What I wanted to say is, of course, Dana's going to say that this is easier on her.
Well, you know, it's interesting because obviously you've got strong historical perspectives on this and views. Noah, I want you to respond.
Thank you, Riz. What I wanted to say about the 1948, people from Ramallah keep on returning to 1948 and the Arabs that were kicked out of their homes. I would like to say that in every side in every situation there are two sides of which create a reality. What you could hear from Israeli side is in 1948 when they declared that Israel is a state, the Arabs in Israel were called upon from the Arabs around Israel, from the Arab countries, to flee their homes.
Diala, on this side here in Ramallah, please, I know you've been wanting to say.
I would just...
So let me, oh, sorry, go ahead. Noah, you had one other thing?
Yes. I can hear you laughing from Ramallah, but I can completely understand what you believe from the Palestinian side and what I believe from the Israeli side. There is not one truth. There is no documented histories to X house to Y house. There is no subjective,
but actually
there's no objective piece of information.
No, there is.
Yes, a lot of documentation.
If you search correctly, you will find there is.
Diala, you were about to say something.
I'm actually, you heard the giggles. I don't think I'll deign that question or that comment with a response because it's just purely offensive to Palestinians, to history, to my grandparents, to pretty much any Palestinian that you will ask about the question.
I just want to say, before you go on, that the idea that even if Palestinians were called upon to leave their homes, which they weren't, as many scientific studies have found out, they were forced out by the Zionist gangs to leave their homes. Even if they did leave voluntarily, when you leave your home voluntarily, you have the right to return to it. And that's what the issue is, that Israel is banning people from going back to their homes.
Mohammed, let me get Diala to finish your comment before I go to Fadi in Tel Aviv.
I was going to change, I was going to just address a little bit of the spirit of this discussion today. A lot of the people our friends in Tel Aviv have been going back to this idea that Israel is a victim, that Israel is just one long line of victimhood, and that Palestinians are just unwilling to accept its God-given right to a state and to live in peace. You're blaming the victim. I mean, in this case, you are just simply not looking at the facts. I'm much more willing to listen to Moshe's perspective. That's more hardline, that will be telling you that Israel has to do whatever it takes in order to keep its power versus, you know, the one that Dana, who told us that Israelis, you know, are completely, you know, in their, I'm sorry, I don't want to misphrase what she said, but this completely
wanting peace, basically, yeah.
Wanting peace, and we don't know what you're talking about when you tell us about checkpoints, etc. I mean, everything that you see Israel doing, you know, Israel's a democracy, for a Jewish democracy, and Israelis serve in the militaries. The only Israelis Palestinians ever see are settlers and soldiers. We encounter you at checkpoints, we encounter you in settlements, we encounter you armed. And this myth of ignorance of what's happening in the territories, I'm unwilling to believe and I reject, because you know, in a day of media and in a day of you know, no matter how high you build a wall, we're
okay, Diala, let me get across. I know what you're getting at now. Fadi, you're waiting patiently with an answer. I'll get you guys as much as I can. Omar, hold on, but Fadi?
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm just thinking about this discussion, and I think that we are repeating the same rhetorics. The Israeli side is talking about security all the time and being threatened, while the Israeli side is the powerful side, and the Palestinian side is talking about very physical things, about land, and about everybody is talking about peace. But the question is, which kind of peace? Is it a peace of masters and slaves, or is it a just peace? And looking at the history of this conflict, there was a big ethnic cleansing in '48. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians were expelled. Doesn't matter who started the war. It's not the argument. The thing is that no Palestinian was permitted to go back, even though there was a UN decision. And the American veto was stopping it all the time. And then, after that, in '67, Israel was occupying another pieces of land and starting colonializing another lands in the '67 areas, building more settlements. And there was no suicide bombers back then. It was 20 years that it was quiet, till '87. But Israel, as a powerful side, continued creating facts on the ground. And then, when things explode, the Israeli side is talking just about security, as if the Palestinian side need to provide the security to the Israeli side, while the Israeli side is continuing on confiscating more and more lands, and the refugees are living out of their place something like 60 years. So we need to clarify a bit more what we are talking about when we are talking about peace. And peace for whom? And security for whom? Is it security just for the Israelis? Are the Palestinians secure? And so on. And I think that we need to deal with one standard and not bystander with this issue. Even Martin Luther King was introduced as troublemaker back then.
Okay, listen,
but then
guys,
we know today that he was a fighter for freedom.
We have a lot more points to make. Obviously, the debate's getting very heated.
Wonderful example.
Go ahead, Dana.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying that Fadi is a wonderful example of a family, a Palestinian family who remained in Israel, kept living its life here. Fadi studied in Tel Aviv University. He enjoys living in the city of Jaffa and has the same rights as every other Israeli here.
Well, thank you very much.
Exactly the same rights. Obviously, he's sitting here. We're a democratic country. We're a pluralist country, and that's why Fadi is sitting next to me, and he can express any opinion that he'd like.
Now listen, everyone's bursting to say something. Everyone is bursting to say something. I promise you, I will try to get to all your views in just a moment. We have to take another short break. More on this hot debate when we get back. Stay with us.